Have you ever wondered what really happens behind the closed doors of an exorcism? Forget what you've seen in the movies. The reality is far more complex and deeply rooted in history, faith, and human psychology. Let's just talk about the concept of exorcisms in locked basements, a setting that sounds like it's straight out of a horror film. But why this specific imagery? The locked basement symbolizes a space of ultimate privacy and intense focus, where the outside world is shut out. In many historical and cultural accounts, a contained environment was seen as necessary to confront a spiritual disturbance without interruption. It was believed to be a sacred battleground, a place where a person's inner turmoil could be addressed directly. This idea of a secluded space isn't just about secrecy. From a psychological perspective, a quiet, controlled environment can help a person feel safe and focused. Think about therapy sessions. They happen in private rooms to ensure confidentiality and comfort. Similarly, in many spiritual practices, seclusion is used for deep meditation and reflection. The locked basement can be seen as a metaphor for delving into the deepest, most hidden parts of the human mind. The goal, whether through spiritual or psychological means, is to bring what's in the basement of our consciousness into the light, to understand it, and to find healing. Historically, rituals for cleansing or healing have often been private affairs. Ancient cultures had shamans and priests who would perform ceremonies in designated sacred spaces, away from the daily life of the village. These rituals were meant to restore balance, not just for an individual, but for the entire community. The belief was that a spiritual affliction could spread, so containing it was paramount. The methods varied greatly, from chants and prayers to the use of herbs and symbolic objects. The common thread was the creation of a protected space where the healing process could unfold safely. Now, let's bring this into the modern day. Today, when someone is in deep distress, the first step is often to seek professional medical or psychological help. Mental health experts are trained to diagnose and treat a wide range of conditions. For those whose struggles are intertwined with their faith, spiritual guidance can also be a powerful source of comfort and strength. Many faith leaders work alongside medical professionals to provide holistic care that addresses the mind, body, and spirit. The modern approach emphasizes compassion, understanding, and a support system. The locked basement is no longer a physical place, but a conceptual one. The safe space created by therapists, doctors, and spiritual counselors. So the idea of an exorcism in a locked basement is a powerful cultural symbol. It speaks to our deep-seated fascination with the unknown and the human struggle against our inner demons. But it also highlights a universal need for safety, privacy, and focused intention when confronting profound personal challenges. Whether you view it through a lens of faith, psychology, or history, the core theme is one of confronting darkness to find light. It's about healing and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. It's a reminder that if you or someone you know is struggling, there are people who can help create that safe space for you. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating topics. Have you ever wondered why old churches have bell towers? Or why you see wind chimes hanging on porches? It's not just for making pretty sounds. For centuries, across countless cultures, the ringing of bells has been believed to hold a powerful mystical purpose, to drive away spirits. Let's travel back in time. Imagine a small medieval village. Life is hard, and the world outside the village walls feels vast and dangerous, filled with unseen forces. In this world, the church bell is more than a call to prayer. Its deep, resonant toll is a sonic shield. People believed that evil spirits, demons, and even mischievous fairies couldn't stand the sacred sound. When a storm gathered, they rang the bells not just to warn people, but to scatter the malevolent spirits thought to be riding the winds. When someone passed away, the slow, solemn death knell was rung to protect the departing soul from being snatched by ghouls on its journey to the afterlife. It was a community's way of saying, "You are not welcome here." This belief wasn't just confined to Christian Europe. In many parts of Asia, the practice is just as rich and varied. Think of the beautiful, intricate bells you see hanging from the eaves of Buddhist and Shinto temples in Japan and China. These aren't just architectural decorations. Known as futaku, their gentle chiming in the wind is said to purify the sacred space, creating a zone of peace and tranquility where negative energies and wandering ghosts cannot enter. The sound is a constant, subtle prayer, a cleansing vibration that keeps the spiritual environment clean. Similarly, in Tibetan Buddhism, the handheld bell, or ghanta, is used in rituals alongside the dorje. The bell's ring symbolizes wisdom and emptiness, and its sound is believed to clear the mind and banish spiritual obstacles. And what about closer to home? The tradition lives on in objects we see every day. Those decorative witch balls you sometimes see in gardens? Historically, some were filled with chimes or bells. The idea was that any ill-willed spirit attracted to the shiny object would be repelled by the sound. The modern wind chime, a staple of porches and patios worldwide, is a direct descendant of these ancient temple bells. Many people hang them not just for their pleasant melody, but for the feeling of peace they bring, a subconscious echo of the belief that their sound cleanses the home of negativity and brings in good fortune. Even the small bell on a cat's collar, which we think is just to help us find them, has roots in the idea of protecting a beloved creature from unseen harm. From the booming clang of a cathedral tower to the delicate tinkle of a wind chime, the belief in the protective power of bells is a thread woven through human history. It speaks to a deep-seated desire to create safe, sacred spaces in a world that can often feel chaotic and frightening. The sound of a bell is a declaration, a clear, resonant announcement that this space is protected, peaceful, and filled with positive energy. So the next time you hear a bell ring, listen closely. You're not just hearing a sound. You're hearing the echo of an ancient and powerful tradition, a melody of protection that has comforted humanity for thousands of years. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more journeys into the fascinating stories behind our traditions. See you next time. Have you ever wondered if vampires are real? Or what would happen in a zombie apocalypse? Today, we see these creatures in movies and on TV, but for people in the past, the fear of the undead was very, very real. So real, in fact, that they developed specific rituals to make sure the dead stayed, well, dead. And one of the most fascinating methods was blessing graves. Let's travel back in time to medieval Europe. Life was tough, and unexplained deaths or plagues could easily spark terror in a community. People believed that certain individuals, maybe those who lived a wicked life or died in a strange way, could return from the grave to torment the living. These weren't the charming vampires you see in fiction. They were believed to be horrifying monsters that spread disease and misfortune. So, how did they stop them? One powerful tool was the church. A proper Christian burial was seen as the first line of defense. This wasn't just about saying a few prayers. It was a comprehensive spiritual process. The body would be washed and prepared, then brought to the church for a funeral mass. The priest would use holy water, a powerful symbol of purification, sprinkling it on the body and the coffin. This was believed to cleanse any lingering evil and protect the soul on its journey to the afterlife. The blessing of the grave itself was a crucial step. The burial plot, often in consecrated ground right next to the church, was considered sacred space. The priest would perform a specific rite, praying over the open grave, and again using holy water to sanctify the earth. This essentially created a spiritual barrier, a sacred seal to contain the body and its spirit within the ground. The idea was that any malevolent force would be repelled by the holiness of the site. But sometimes that wasn't enough. If a community suspected someone was particularly at risk of becoming one of the restless dead, they took extra precautions. They might place religious objects in the coffin, like a crucifix or a rosary, to provide personal protection for the soul. In some more extreme cases, you'd find evidence of what archaeologists call deviant burials. This could involve placing a sharp sickle around the neck of the deceased, with the belief that if they tried to rise, they would harm themselves. Others might be buried face down, so if they tried to dig their way out, they would only dig deeper into the earth. Some were even weighed down with heavy stones. These practices weren't just based on superstition. They were a community's way of coping with fear and chaos. In a world without modern science to explain how diseases spread, blaming the supernatural was a way to feel some sense of control. Blessing a grave was an act of faith, a way for the living to find peace and ensure their departed loved ones rested peacefully without ever coming back to haunt them. It's incredible to think about how these ancient fears have shaped our modern stories. The next time you watch a zombie movie, remember the very real terror that inspired it, and the elaborate rituals people once performed to keep the dead from rising. It gives you a whole new appreciation for the history behind the horror. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more historical mysteries. See you next time. Have you ever walked past a beautiful old church, its doors chained shut, and wondered what happened? Across the world, a silent yet significant transformation is taking place. Grand cathedrals and humble parish churches, once the vibrant heartbeats of their communities, are closing their doors for good. It's a phenomenon happening everywhere, from rural villages in Europe to bustling cities in North America. So, what's really going on here? Why are these magnificent buildings, filled with centuries of history, art, and memory, being sealed up? It's not a simple story with a single villain. Instead, it's a complex mix of shifting demographics, changing beliefs, and the simple yet harsh realities of economics. One of the biggest drivers is a decline in religious attendance in many Western countries. Younger generations in particular are less likely to identify with a specific religion or attend regular services. Life has changed. Sunday mornings are now filled with sports, family brunches, or simply catching up on rest. As congregations shrink, so does the financial support needed to maintain these often massive and aging structures. Think about it. A centuries-old stone church requires constant and expensive upkeep. Leaky roofs, crumbling stonework, outdated heating systems, the bills can be astronomical. For a small, aging congregation, raising hundreds of thousands or even millions for repairs is an impossible task. The collection plate simply can't cover the costs. It becomes a heartbreaking choice between preserving a building and serving the community's present-day needs. This trend is especially visible in Europe, where countless historic churches dot the landscape. Countries like the Netherlands, Germany, and the UK have seen hundreds of churches decommissioned. In some parts of France and Italy, villages that once supported several churches now struggle to keep even one open. The spiritual landscape is literally being redrawn as these community cornerstones go silent. But the story doesn't end with a locked door. What happens next to these sacred spaces? The answer is as diverse as the buildings themselves. This is where a new chapter, full of creativity and reinvention, begins. Many are transformed in remarkable ways. We've seen churches become breathtaking private homes, with families living beneath soaring stained glass windows. Others have been converted into community centers, art galleries, concert halls, and even libraries, preserving their role as public gathering places, just with a new purpose. There are some truly amazing examples out there. A church in the Netherlands is now a popular bookstore, its aisles lined with shelves of books instead of pews. Another in England was converted into a circus school, where acrobats practice under the vaulted ceilings. And in Pittsburgh, A former church is now a vibrant brewery where people gather for a different kind of spirit. These transformations, while sometimes controversial, ensure the buildings are saved from demolition and continue to be a part of the community's life. Of course, not every church finds such a glamorous second act. Some are simply demolished to make way for new developments. Others stand empty for years, slowly succumbing to the elements, their beauty fading into decay. It's a poignant reminder of the passage of time and the ever-evolving nature of our societies. The closure of a church is always an emotional event for its community. It represents the end of an era, a loss of shared history where generations were baptized, married, and mourned. But it also forces us to ask important questions. What do we value in our communities? How can we preserve our heritage while adapting to the needs of today? And what new forms of community and connection will emerge in the 21st century? The story of closed churches isn't just about religion. It's about community, history, and our ability to adapt and find new meaning in old spaces. It's a quiet revolution reshaping our towns and cities, one beautiful, silent building at a time. What do you think should happen to these historic buildings? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories about our changing world. Have you ever heard of a place so powerful it can trap spirits? Not just a haunted house, but an entire piece of land believed to be a prison for entities that refuse to move on. Today, we re-diving deep into the legends and lore surrounding one of the most fascinating concepts in the paranormal world: sacred grounds that act as spiritual traps. So, what makes a piece of land sacred? Often, it's a place of great historical or spiritual significance. It might be an ancient burial site, the location of a major battle, or a place where natural energies like ley lines are said to converge. Cultures all over the world have these special places. Think of Stonehenge in England, the Great Pyramids in Egypt, or the sacred valleys of the Himalayas. For generations, people have felt a unique energy in these locations, a sense of peace for some, and for others, something far more intense. The idea is that these grounds have a unique spiritual frequency. For the living, visiting these places can be a profound experience, a way to connect with history or a higher power. But for spirits, especially those that are lost, confused, or unwilling to cross over, the story is very different. According to the lore, the powerful energy of the sacred ground acts like a spiritual magnet. It draws them in, but then the same energy that makes the place special creates an invisible barrier, preventing them from leaving. It's like a one-way door for the spirit world. Let's look at a few examples. There are legends about ancient battlefields where the echoes of conflict are so strong that the spirits of soldiers are said to be trapped, forever replaying their final moments. They're not haunting a single building, but the entire field of battle. Visitors often report hearing phantom cries, the clash of steel, or seeing full-bodied apparitions marching across the landscape, seemingly unaware that centuries have passed. The sacredness of the ground, stained by the ultimate sacrifice, is said to hold them there. Then you have ancient burial mounds, common in many cultures. From the Native American mounds in the Ohio Valley to the barrows of Northern Europe. These were not just graves. They were ceremonial centers, places of immense ritual and respect. The belief is that the guardians and the interred remain tethered to these spots. They are not necessarily malicious, but they are protectors of the land. Anyone who disrespects the site might experience strange phenomena, unexplained noises, feelings of being watched, or even equipment malfunctions. The spirits aren't trying to scare people away. They're simply bound to their duty, trapped by the sanctity of their final resting place. Another fascinating theory involves natural energy. Places with unique geological features, like high concentrations of quartz crystal or underground rivers, are often considered sacred. Paranormal investigators believe these natural elements can amplify spiritual energy. It's like a giant battery for the paranormal. A spirit that wanders into one of these high-energy zones might get stuck. The natural power of the earth is too strong for them to break free from. They become part of the land's spiritual ecosystem, a permanent feature of the energetic landscape. So, are these places truly spiritual prisons? Or are they something else entirely? Some believe they are sanctuaries, places where spirits can exist peacefully without being disturbed by the modern world. Others see them as dimensional weak spots, where the veil between our world and the next is unusually thin, allowing for more frequent and vivid encounters. What's truly captivating is that these stories persist across different cultures and continents, all pointing to the same idea, that the land itself has memory and power. Whether it's the site of a forgotten ceremony, a tragic battle, or a natural wonder, these sacred grounds remind us that there are forces at play we may not fully understand. They are living museums of history and energy, holding on to their stories and their spectral residents. What do you think? Have you ever been to a place that felt like it had a powerful ancient energy? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and theories. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries. See you next time.